What's up, guys? It's your boy Justin. So we're reviewing another fantasy movie for Fantasy Month, right? Which I wasn't going to do this tonight, but I was supposed to do a review for America versus the Justice League, but I couldn't finish it in time. Sorry, America versus the JSA, but I couldn't finish it in time, so I'm reviewing this. And funny enough, this film is written by Roy Thomas and Jerry Conway, and Roy Thomas wrote the JSA graphic novel I was supposed to review today. Which apparently they were chosen because they both worked on Conan stories for Marvel Comics, right? Which we're gonna review Marvel Comics Conan book this month. So this movie is the 1983 cult classic Fire and Ice, right? Which is directed by Ralph Bakshi, who did the Lord of the Rings films, with illustrations and character designs by Frank Frazetta, who also, I think, worked on Conan. He's a famous American fantasy artist, right? And yeah, the also other people worked on this movie is James Gurney, the author and artist of the Dinotopia books, was a background painter. So was Thomas Kincaid, who was a famous American painter, and Peter Chunk from Aeon Flux was a layout artist, right? Which not a huge fan of Aeon Flux, but I liked his Alexander the Great anime. I forget what it was called, but like I think it was called like Conqueror or something. I can't remember. But yeah, so the movie stars well, some of because this is a rotoscope film, you have like the actor who portrayed the character, and then you have the voice actor. So for Larn, you have Randy Norton as the performance actor, and the voice actor is William Ostrander. Tigra, which is not to be confused with Tigra from Marvel Comics. Tigra was performed by Cynthia Leak, but voice acted by Maggie Roswell. And Dark Wolf was performed and voiced by Steve Sandor, which was pretty cool. Necron was model was Sean Hannon, voiced by Stephen Mandel, and that's pretty much all the important characters. So the film is basically it's basically a fantasy version of Star Wars, right? But if the Darth Vader character was a good guy, well, in this film, you have two kingdoms that are at war with each other. You have the Kingdom of Ice, which is ran by Necron, who's this evil sorcerer, whose mother was also a witch, right? And she raised him to conquer the known world, right? With his magical ice powers and his cavemen called subhumans. You know, he goes out to conquer the land. The only force that can stop him is the other kingdom, which is the Fire Kingdom, right? Which is run by I forget the king's name. I think was it Taro, or I can't remember. I can't remember the king's name, but basically he has a son and a daughter, and the daughter is Tigra. The evil sorceress decides to kidnap Tigra as a bride for her son, right? And while this is going on, our main character of the film, Larn, was a survivor of one of the battles of Ice and Fire, where his village was wiped out by the glacier, right? And right? And through circumstance, he meets Tigra, who was kidnapped by the subhumans but got away, and they meet and they kind of fall in love. While this is going on, you have this lone avenger called Dark Wolf, who's this barbarian with a battle axe who has like a wolf pelt for a mask, right? Who was the inspiration for the Verotic comic book Jaguar God, which one of the friends of the channel, Darkside is Comics, did a review of that. Which you haven't seen that review, check out Darkside is Comics review. Which, if people don't know what Verotic comics are, it's basically Glenn Danzig's comic book company, where he does like horror fantasy comic books. Yeah. So what happens in the film is our characters basically join forces to take down Necron after after Necron kidnaps Tigra, which is Lauren's love, right? And Dark Wolf is out to get Necron because Necron. Actually, we don't know. they never tell you what Dark Wolf's motivation for wanting to kill Necron, which I thought it sounded like he knew Necron's mother, and then I thought we were gonna find out in the movie that Dark Wolf is actually Necron's father, right? Because he sounds like an older guy, right? And he seems to know the mother, right? We never find out their relationship or why he wants to kill him, right? I guess he was probably one of the conquered villages or whatever, one of the survivors of a conquered village or whatever, right? So the movie, the aesthetic of the movie is, I like it, but it's I'm not a huge fan of fantasy films where characters are running around in loincloths, especially the loincloths, basically, because it's the movie has this prehistoric look to it, where even there's even dinosaurs in the film that they call dragon hawks, which is one of the weapons that the Firekeep has, right? And yeah, I was not. Again, it's were they going for obviously they were going for a Conan look for the film, but it's because Conan, even though a lot of people call it fantasy, it's actually supposed to be take place in a period of time that that it's a lost period of time where who knows, maybe magic and shit did exist, right? Which there's no real fantasy creatures other than the one-eyed kraken octopus, which reminded me of the scene from Lord of the Rings where they're in Helm's Deep and they fight a tentacle monster, right, in the water. Which what is that called? What is that monster called? The Watcher in the water or some fucking shit. But yeah, I don't know, as an adventure fantasy action film, I thought it was good. It was it's well paced. Yeah, it's well paced. If anything, it's too fast paced. Most of the Lauren's I think he's a good protagonist, but it's he kind of gets overshadowed by Dark Wolf, right? To the point where Dark Wolf kills the bad guy in the movie. Which there is a scene where Lauren has a duel with Necron, but it only happens because Necron's playing along with him. Which I thought Necron was a cool villain. He's Yeah, like he reminded me of Mordred from Justice League, where he's like, he's like, fuck you, mother. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I don't want to get married, right? Because like they present him with like with Tigra, and he's like, get this chick out of here. I don't need to get married and have kids. I'm gonna live forever, which he doesn't say that, but that's how he. You can figure out that's how he feels. Yeah. So apparently this film, it's funny. Like this film, I remember there being like a really shitty, like like 2000s, like 2000s like animated film that was like sequel or remake the but like that played on like Teletoons or whatever in the 2000s that was like G-rated, but I went looking for it and like I can't fucking find the movie at all. It's like, does anybody remember that fucking film? Because I swear to God this film exists, but I can't find any record of it online, man. Oh, I should mention, like, the movie is heavily rotoscoped, and the rotoscoping is a bit janky. Like, holy fuck, man. Like it is, like, especially when the characters laugh and stuff. But I don't know. I thought it was like okay, but that could just be me. It's the thing where I think if like you don't mind rotoscope and you like the aesthetic of the the sword and sandals like aesthetic of the movie, it's fine. But like yeah, I thought the characters were cool. Tigra is sexy, thick as fuck, and Dark Wolf is a pretty cool character, and even his voice is cool. So yeah, I would recommend the film. I would say it's like I would say I would say it's a 6.5 out of 10. Definitely, it's definitely not a 7, but not a 6 either. So yeah, 6.5 out of 10. Yeah, I would say check out the trailer, and if it sounds like your kind of movie, check it out. But like, I would say yeah, if you're a fan of old school fantasy, I think it's worth checking out at least once. All right, guys.